Hey, this is Becky McCrary, and I'd like to talk to you for just a few minutes about Kairos Outside. Kairos Outside is a program designed for women whose lives have been impacted by incarceration. These are the wives, the mothers, the sisters, the daughters, the aunts, the grandmothers, the cousins, the best friends of people who are incarcerated or who have been incarcerated. Many times when a family member goes inside, those that are left behind have to take on a second job, sometimes a third job, just to maintain their status quo. They don't always do a good job of that. They work all the time trying to just maintain what they have. And on the weekends, they're either working or they're visiting. Well, then Kairos Outside comes along, and we say, why don't you come to a weekend retreat and just spend some time with us? You don't have to be a Christian to come. You just have to understand we are, and that's the way we present it. And if you're willing to accept it as we present it, then this is an awesome weekend for you. So on this weekend, they have to take off time from their jobs, arrange for childcare, arrange for transportation, not visit their loved one, and then come to a retreat, whether it's a camp setting or a gymnasium. Sometimes it's held in a church, sometimes in a hotel. And that's one of the differences between KI, KT, and KO. We have to find a place for the retreat. That's our biggest expense. It is not uncommon for our weekend housing setup to cost us $5,000 to $7,000 that we have to raise. It is not uncommon for our food cost to be $2,000 and $3,000. But there are similarities between our weekends as well. You have talks and meditations. So do we. Some of them are similar. We certainly both need to talk about getting a grip on anger and how to turn loose of anger. See, so many times the people that you interact with think they're the only ones mad. They ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till they come home. And somebody that has just had the world dump on them is face to face with them. It's difficult. We may have a talk on being worthy of God's love, being worthy of forgiveness, being worthy of realizing this is not our fault. When people come home, which is another one of the talks that we do, when they come home, getting people prepared for those times when their loved ones do come home. When my daughter came home, she couldn't make a decision. She couldn't choose something to wear. She couldn't choose something to eat. She would not let me out of her sight. We needed to go shopping. She had lost so much weight, and we needed new clothes. She would not stand on the opposite side of the rack from me. She had to stand on the same side. She couldn't decide which one she wanted to try on. She certainly couldn't make a choice as to which ones to purchase. That very first trip out, we were laden with bags and walked out toward the food court, and we heard, "Laura!" She about climbed up my back. We turned around, and it was a lady that she had served with, a lady who was out, a lady who had talked so much about her daughter, and there stood with her little 5-year-old. And it was a reunion of sorts for them, but it was difficult. When she came home, she thought that she could sleep all day. She could stay up all night. We had to readjust to things. I needed to be prepared for when she came home. Kairos Outside is a gift that the people in your programs can give to the women in their families. This is an opportunity for them to say, I would love for my female family member or loved one to be a part of this. Please contact them. That's why we give you information to give to your participants after their weekend, so that there's an opportunity for them to share that information with their loved ones. And then when we get the information and we call, they're not, so surprised. They've been kind of expecting it, even if they don't think they need it. One of the things that we talk about too is the church. I remember I called one of the ladies in my Sunday school class on that Saturday and said, I'm not going to be there to teach Sunday. And she said, that's all right, Becky, you take all the time you need. And I said, what? See, I didn't know it was the front page of the paper. I didn't know it had been on the 11 o'clock news or the 6 a.m. news that day. It was difficult. But the time came when I could go back. Just a week later, I had to go back. I had to teach my class. And I taught a class of older ladies, well into their 70s. One of them, several weeks later, looked at me and said, I'm really surprised that you came back. I said, where would I go? She said, well, if that had been my daughter, I sure wouldn't have come back to church. A lot of women that we interact with have experienced that. And maybe they weren't as strong as I was to say, where else would I go? This is my home. So we deal a lot with that over that weekend, their feelings of rejection, especially from the Christian community. So Kairos Outside begins with the weekend and then continues with the reunions like yours. We have them in different places around the different states. Some of our states have multiple Kairos Outside communities and some only have one. You can find information about who we are and where we're located on the KPMI website. So I encourage you to go there to find out where's the closest community for you. Because it is important that the ladies attend in an area that's close to them geographically. Because that's the only way for the reunions to work. That's the only way for the small groups to work. So I hope that as you minister to the men and women inside, that you think about their loved ones on the outside and the program that's available for them. So holler if you need us, because we're here for you. We want to help. Thank you so much for your service, for all you mean to all these families.